We go. All right, folks, welcome back. John Kelly, law enforcement life coach with your Sometimes Heroes Need Help podcast. I have today Lieutenant Colonel Oakland McCulloch, Oak for short. And what a man, what a career, what a mission. 40 plus years leading the troops, developing, mentoring young leaders. He wrote a book, an awesome book, Your Leadership Legacy, Becoming the Leader You Were Meant to Be. And he is, unfortunately, he's a pretty busy guy these days. You don't have to look far to see a leader or someone in a position of authority misstepping and not being the best that they can be. And it's his goal and his mission to correct that problem and to elevate all of us, right? A rising tide elevates all the ships, and it's a team effort. And we're fortunate enough to sit down with him today. So without further ado, please help me welcome Oak McCulloch. Oak, it's great to see you, brother.
Thanks, John. I appreciate you having me on the show.
No, it's my pleasure. And for the listener, you didn't just wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to write a leadership book. So, this is, I think sometimes I don't know that people don't see the work and the failure and the pain that goes along with a life of serving, and to enable you to get to this point. So if you could, for the listener, give us a little history and on Oak and the little acorn that became the mighty oak, so to speak.
Yeah. So I did 23 years in the Army. I grew up in a small little farm town in northern Illinois, which is why I live in Florida. Never living through winters like that ever again.
No, that's gonna be brutal.
Yeah. So I went through. I did 2 years at West Point. I didn't graduate from West Point. I came home, helped my dad run a business that he got sick, and so I came home and helped him run the business. Finished up in ROTC. Met my wife there of 36 years.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Why she married me, I have no idea.
Yeah, right. That's funny.
And she was an Army nurse for 8 years. So we both went into service at the same time. And then my first 5 years, I was an infantry officer. My last 18 years, I was a armored cav officer. Loved every minute of it. Got to do some amazing things, and I'm sure we'll get to talk about a few of those.
Sure.
And then when I retired, I ran a food bank for a couple of years. Great organization, did great things, but when they offered me to come here and recruit for Army ROTC, I jumped on that opportunity.
That's your thing, man. That's your forte.
Yeah, absolutely. To help develop this next generation of leaders. And I think that's all of our responsibilities as current leaders, to help develop that next generation. And so I've been doing this for about 13 years now, 12, 13 years, and wrote my book in February 21.
Your Leadership Legacy, Becoming the Leader You Were Meant to Be. And for the listener, I'll put all this information on the show notes. It's available on Amazon, and
right.
Great stuff.
And so I'm going to retire from this current job, my day job, on the 29th of September. And then I'm going to spend my time doing my passion, which is getting out and talking to as many people as I can. I'm going to write my second book and hopefully continue to help develop the next generation of leaders.
That's quite a noble endeavor, and one greatly needed. We talked a little bit before we officially launched the podcast, and with all the, I'm going to hit you with the question that it kind of hits us over the head. With all the great leaders out there, there are some amazing examples for us to follow, right? The world is not void, historically or present tense, of people to emulate when it comes to great leadership. We know principles and doctrine, and we know the things that we should do and the things that are going to be problematic for us. So why on God's earth are we still beating our heads? Why can everybody in the room look at each other and go, this is not right. This is not, why are we still fighting this fight?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question, and I get asked that all the time, and I think that my answer is what a leader needs to do is not a mystery.
Right.
What it takes to be a good leader, everybody knows what those things are. The hard part is actually doing it, setting that example, having the self-discipline, the habits, the drive to do the right thing. And leaders do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, not because somebody's going to check up on them or because people are going to check up on you, but that's not why you do it. You do it because it's the right thing to do. And I think that we have lost that in a lot of our society, that it's not about you. It is about doing the right thing. It's, if you're a leader, your main responsibility is to help the people that you have the privilege, and it is a privilege to lead, to be better people. And if you do that, your organization is going to be better. And that's the whole goal, in my opinion.
Yeah. I've had the occasion to speak to law enforcement leaders around the country, and I was speaking to a group that the FBI had me talk with, and I said, listen, don't confuse it. The rank was given to you. You didn't earn it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I said, stop. I said, stop it. I said, somebody believed that you would use this position of authority to better the lives of the people around you.
Absolutely.
That's your calling. That's your mission.
So, you know, every time we commission a lieutenant out of this program, and when I ran my own Army ROTC program at the University of South Alabama, I walk up to every single young man or young lady that we're commissioning, and I say, look, today is all about you. Congratulations. You're getting to do something that very few people get to do. You're commissioning as a second lieutenant in the United States Army. Celebrate. Have a great day. Tomorrow morning, after we pin those bars on you today, tomorrow morning when you wake up, it is never about you ever again. It's about your soldiers. It's about your mission. It's about the Army. It's about the country. And then if we have time, we might talk about you, maybe.
Maybe if we get around to it. Yeah, I think, unfortunately, I guess I fall into a trap of oversimplifying dynamics. I think, I mean, it's just the best way. It's the easiest way for me to sort through the nonsense.
Yeah, and there's plenty of it out there.
Yeah, there is. And so if we both know, and let me throw this little disclaimer out there. I have failed as a leader more times than I care.
We all have,
right? More times.
Anybody who says they haven't is lying.
Right. And it's, but I'd like to think that I didn't make those mistakes more than once.
That's right.
That I walked away going, okay, that was really stupid. That didn't play out the way you thought it should have. And, you know, I'm never going to do that again. But with that being said, you wrote in the book, and you talked about you should be the moral compass of the organization, right? As a leader. Right. What if you're not? And so I have an answer to that, but I want your answer to that, because unfortunately, Oak, that's a situation more times than not subordinates are faced with. Like, that guy's a jackass.
Yeah.
And everything
I've been there. I've worked
everything that he does, I would do the exact opposite. So what are those folks? Because I want them to have some takeaways here, Oak, that they can put into practice to help them navigate these waters.
Yeah. So I tell all the young leaders that I talk to, and any leaders, that look, you're going to have that person that should never have been a leader. I mean, that's just a fact of life. And in all organizations, in every profession, it doesn't matter. There's always those people who get promoted. You know, the Peter principle, people get promoted above their ability, or the just unethical people who still somehow manage to get,
or a combination of both.
Or a combination of both. And I've worked for all of those, unfortunately. And so what I tell people is, if you're a junior leader under somebody like that, then you really have two missions, two obligations as a leader. Number one, try to change that person. And that's hard. I got it. But you should, show them the right way to be a leader. And they'll do one of two things. They'll either hold that against you. And if they do, okay, that's your responsibility as a leader. You got to take the
it's your cross to bear.
That's right. the other thing is you got to shield as much as you can the people under you from that nonsense.
Yes.
And that's sometimes, you don't say we got to do this because our dumb boss tells us to do that.
No,
That's the
no,
wrong
no.
answer. You
Correct.
say this is what we're going to do, but you shield them from as much of the nonsense as you can. And that is your duty as a leader, is to make the life of your people that you have the privilege to lead as good as it can be, and to better them. And so you set the example, even if your boss isn't, you
Right.
set the example of what a leader is supposed to do and be.
I think, unfortunately, there are too many organizations that are operating under that premise, because, and thankfully that there are young men and women within the ranks of not only the military, but in law enforcement and organizations across the country that acknowledge that and shoulder the burden of, I need to protect my people. I need to be the reason why, their lives are better and not worse if, being subjected to this nonsense from above.
Absolutely. I approached my career as a leader, and every morning when I woke up, every morning I said to myself, I need to be the example of what a leader is supposed to be. I want to make every one of the people in my organization want to be like me. And it's tough. I mean, there's days there, and there's situations when you got to make some tough decisions. And sometimes the decisions you make are not in your best interest.
Right.
You still got to make the right choice, and you still
Right.
got to do what's right.
It's funny. There's when I was reading the book, so many things came to mind. We talked about having to, address by not addressing the problem in the unit, you end up ruining all the good people in the unit.
Absolutely, you do.
And that avoiding, everybody thinks, oh, the leader, I was in a motor unit, so the leaders rode up front, right? We were the bosses, but I would routinely jump with the guys.
Yeah.
When we do motorcades, we leapfrog. And if I didn't need to be up front because I knew the route and I would point out hazards and all that, I would leapfrog with the guys. And being in that position, I think it's important. What's your take on, leaders still need to lead, they still need to make tough decisions. But I remember reading in your book where part of that is, leapfrogging is really dangerous. It's one of the most dangerous things we do when we do presidential motorcades. We're running, if the package is running at 60, 70 miles an hour, we're running at 110.
Yeah.
And not a lot of wiggle room when things get sideways. But just because you're a leader doesn't mean that you abstain from doing the work of your people, your troops, right?
I'm
Talk
a
about
firm,
that.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that leaders need to be where their people are. Now, I got it. There are times when leaders have to sit behind a computer and fill out paperwork and all those kinds of things. That's part of being a leader. But the majority of your time should be where your soldiers, your people are. And if that means if you're in the motor pool, if they're in the motor pool and it's snowing, you need to be in the motor pool. If it's raining, you need to get wet. I mean, soldiers, people, not just soldiers, people want to be led by people who are better than them. And you can't expect people to do things that you aren't willing to do. And so I'm a firm believer that if wherever your people are, that's where you need to be. I tell people all the time, look, if you think that, go out and talk to your people, not in your office.
Right.
Because nobody who comes into your office is going to tell you.
Yeah, I feel really comfortable sitting down with the lieutenant colonel in his office.
Exactly. Nobody's going to tell you the truth in your office. That's not going to happen. Go out and talk to them where they are, whether you're in the military or in a business or the law enforcement, whatever. If you are out there and you're asking them questions, important questions like, what do you need to make your job better?
Sure. Is
there something that we're doing that doesn't make any sense? Because they're the ones who do it every day. How they know what they need. They know what doesn't make sense. Ask them those questions.
Yeah, that's it seems
And you can't
simple
do
enough.
that from your office.
No,
Sorry.
and I got into it, numerous times. That whole do as I say, not as I do. Listen, that bullshit worked with my dad. My dad tried that shit
My
on
dad
me.
was that way.
Yeah, you know what? Didn't work then. It doesn't work
Yeah.
now.
I will tell you, I am who I am today because of my dad, no doubt about it, good and bad.
Right.
And I learned some great lessons from my dad, from great things that he did. And I learned some great lessons from horrible things that he did.
Yeah.
Because you can learn
That's the
just as
truth.
much from somebody who does something well as you can from somebody who does something
Oh, 100%.
horrible.
No, that is no truer words were ever spoken. That is absolutely the truth. I want to just go to the book real quick. We talk about helping employees fix their problems. Um, the one that you gave me in the book with the I don't know if it was a private,
Yeah, he
but
was a private.
he was a private, and he had a problem with a little domestic issue going on with maybe being with too many people, and one of them was the mother of the daughter, and you said, "Hey, son, yeah, you need to go see the chaplain on this one." I
I
can't
can't
help
help
you on
you,
that.
man.
That really,
Well,
uh,
as leaders, we got to understand where our strengths are,
right,
and I can help a lot of people and I can help some things, but I also know that there's people who have more talents than I do in
right,
certain situations. And the chaplain, I don't care what organization you're in, if there's a chaplain, you got to get to know that man or that woman very well because
right.
they are an asset that could be used for lots of things.
Yeah.
And so I always, every organization I went to, I always found the chaplain and I made good friends with the chaplain.
Yeah, it's they're a different breed, aren't they?
They are.
And I thought it was a great highlighting that. Listen, you don't have to know the answer. You just need to know who
Who
might
knows
have
the
the
answer?
answer,
That's right.
and provide that direction.
Absolutely. As I said in the book, and as I say all the time, I didn't just pass him off to the chaplain and forget about him. I went
No,
up and
you,
checked on him a couple of
yeah,
times and said, are you getting some help? How's everything going?
right,
So, just because you pass somebody off to somebody doesn't mean as a leader, you have given up the responsibility to take care of that person. It
right.
just means you found somebody else who can give them better help at the moment than you can. But you are still, as a leader, you are responsible for everything and everyone in your organization.
Yeah,
You can't ever abdicate that. That's not an option. You're
right.
you're the person who has your name is on the blame line at the bottom all the time.
Sure. Isn't it funny how I think that statement that you just made somehow gets omitted in a lot of the text that people end up reading. That, hey,
Yeah,
listen, um, taking ownership, right? You are responsible, good, bad, or indifferent, for the things that happen in your organization.
that's right. Too often today I see people who want to take credit for all the great things that are happening.
Yeah,
But if something goes wrong, oh, I
yeah.
didn't do that. That's not my.
Do you remember Janet Reno?
I do.
Right. So somebody mentioned her to me the other day, and I said, what a woman with balls. I mean,
Yeah.
she after for the listener that if you
She
might
owned
not
it.
remember, Waco blew up,
Yeah.
literally blew up. Uh, Horrible standoff with the Branch Davidians. Kids died, burned to death. Um, by all accounts, a combination of throwing some gas and the people inside, the adults inside the building lighting fires. I mean, it just went to shit really quick. A lot of
Right.
people died. She got behind the mic and said, I gave the approval. It's my call. My heart is broken that there's been a loss of life. I'm never gonna recover from this emotionally, but if there's blame to be had, it's on me.
It's on me.
Whoa,
Unlike
whoa.
unlike the prison in Iraq. Remember that?
Yes.
The colonel, the general, everybody up the chain of command said, "Not my responsibility."
By pointing fingers.
Really? Then whose is it?
Who do we hold accountable if not our leaders?
I mean, I just don't understand that. I really don't.
No, unfortunately, we could point to descriptions real world, real time current events where people just and I don't understand it, Oak, because it's always been my experience that no matter how horrific the event, if all anybody is looking for is somebody to take responsibility to say, I'm in charge, it happened under my watch, and I am going to do my very best to make sure that this never happens again.
Absolutely.
I think the troops rally around you when you do that.
Look, my philosophy has always been this. If my guys and gals did a great job, then I would go to my boss in public, as many people as I could hear it. And I say, look, my guys and gals did a great job. And Joe, John, and Jane, they did a fantastic job.
Sure.
If we didn't do what we were supposed to do, I'd go in public with as many people as possible and say, hey, look, boss, I screwed up. And this is how we're going to fix it. Because look, we're all going to make mistakes. Nobody in this world is perfect. I keep trying to convince my wife I am, but she's not.
You just keep a little hard, just push a little harder.
But we're all going to make mistakes. And I had a boss one time who retired, a 4-star general, and he said, Oak, I don't care if you made a mistake. He said, we're all going to make mistakes. What I care about is, what did you do after you made the mistake?
Right.
Did you try to hide it? Did you try to sweep it under the rug? Did you try to blame somebody else? Or do you walk up to me and say, hey, boss, I messed up and this is how we're going to fix it?
Right.
And that's the philosophy I've always taken since then. And because we can fix lots of things. And even if we can't fix it, we can figure out how not to make it happen again.
Where do the haters go from there when you take ownership?
Yeah, I don't know.
There's nothing. The guy admitted he made a mistake and he's going to do something to fix it. All right, next question.
Yeah.
Next question. What else do we need? And I don't know why, for the life of me, bosses, leaders haven't figured that out, that there's no other way to handle that situation.
Yeah, you got to take ownership of everything in your organization, good and bad.
Right. We talked a little bit about it before we hit record. You're having an, I'll say, industry-wide shortage of folks seeking a commission route in the armed services. And, your background, for the listener, you're the guy that they brought in to rally the troops, to bring that awareness and add value to the program so people would see what a benefit it would be taking this track. And we're seeing some decline across the country in the folks using the military, as a career track.
Right. Or even as a starter for their career, whatever they want to do.
We've all got our theories and philosophy, the philosophy on the whys. What's your philosophy on the why? And then more importantly, what's the fix? Yeah. Because this is across although it's impacting the military, it's impacting law enforcement. It's impacting those professions where it's sometimes an inconvenience to serve, because it could mean you losing your life.
Absolutely. Firemen, paramedics,
yes.
All of them, all first responders, basically. We're having a huge problem recruiting for those. And it's not just for officers, it's enlisted soldiers in all the branches as well.
Right.
I think there's a couple problems. I think number one, there's a lower number of people who want to serve. And I saw a survey or a article the other day, about a month ago, that said that and I'm trying to remember the number, but about 70% of the people, in young men and women between the age of 18 and 24, aren't even qualified to serve as an officer or in the Army or as a policeman, or just because of lots of different things. Overweight, diabetes, health issues, physical
health, maybe some substance abuse issues, whatever,
and just not in good physical condition enough to do it. And then, so of the 20-something% that are eligible, only about 9% of them really have any capacity or want to serve, any interest in serving. So, I mean, if you take those numbers, that just tells you how
Are you and I getting called back up?
Yeah, I'm a little old for that.
Yeah,
But
no, actually you're not. Actually, you're not. See, that's the thing. When they start changing qualifications, it's going to be on our end.
yeah,
They're
well,
going to
it's
push
just
that
like
age up.
anything in the military or the police or whatever, based on if numbers needed, they'll do whatever they got to do.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. I think there's two problems. I think one, we're not doing a good job of giving a good description of what the benefits are. I mean, look, I'm just a farm boy from Northern Illinois. I would never be where I am today and have done all the things that I've gotten to do if I hadn't been in the Army.
Correct.
No way. It wouldn't have happened.
Understood.
So I think we gotta make sure that people understand what the advantages of serving, whether it's in the Army or any service or
Sure.
in police, firemen, whatever,
Sure.
what the advantages are. And not only, even if you don't want to make a career out of it, just as a stepping stone to whatever it is that you want to do.
Sure.
The other thing I think that is the problem is that we have decided, for whatever reason, the culture of our services and first responders, we have eroded the culture. And that's why people join, is for the culture. I mean, obviously we didn't join for the money.
No.
I mean, so that's not why people join the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Marines, whatever, or be a policeman or a
Sure.
fireman, because you're not going to get rich. They join for the culture. And a number of different things that we've done over the years have eroded some of that culture. And it's not the same that it was when you and I were young men and women who joined the first responder, police force, firefighter force,
Sure.
forces. The culture is not the same, and we got to understand that people join for the culture, and we got to fix the culture.
Yeah, it's something that I talk about quite a bit when I address agencies and their folks, is that, we have a say. I think everybody is waiting for some sort of magical situation to occur where, things will just get better with the next leader. Like, I think people somehow, they want to defer the responsibility of changing culture to someone else. Like,
Yeah.
that's going to
It's
be
tough.
somebody. How do you eat an elephant, man? This is an
Yeah.
elephant. And so, when I speak, I talk about how we treat each other. Like, you can change culture by what you consider, what you will allow to be acceptable behavior or
That
not.
is exactly right.
Right. And so if we can just do that one thing, if everybody can redefine what's acceptable and what's not, and maybe we stop eating our own, and maybe we start supporting and defending each other. And then next thing you know, it becomes something that you want to be a part of.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think we have to start as leaders. You got to set the example. Again, goes back to the moral compass.
Right.
Moral, ethical, just setting the example every day. What you will accept or not. I always use this example. It happened just about 2 weeks ago. I had a bunch of cadets. I was taking them over to the Speedway for our, they help with running the Speedway during Daytona 500. And we were walking out of the building, and we walked by a trash can, and there's a whole bunch of raccoons who live right around our building. And there was all kinds of garbage strewn around a garbage can. 12 cadets walked by the garbage and didn't pick it up and put it in the garbage can. I stopped them and I said, stop. And I put the garbage in the garbage can. And I said, when you're a leader, when you're a lieutenant and you're out there in your unit and you walk by a piece of garbage that's sitting on the floor or outside, you just set a new standard. Why would you expect one of your soldiers or one of the people that you're leading to do something that you weren't willing to do?
No, great. No. And after some reflection, they're like, damn, LT, the colonel's got, I'll be better next time. I won't let that happen
Hopefully
again.
Hopefully that's the message you put
That's
across.
got to be the
I didn't try to
takeaway.
embarrass them. They needed to understand that what they just did was wrong.
That's that's the whole adage about, like bringing your shopping cart back to the bin and not
Oh,
leaving it. Like you're that's above you,
yeah,
And so it's the small things like that that build character, that let the world know that you're part of the solution and you're not part of the problem.
I agree.
I think that there's one thing I wanted to talk about is what attitudes. I wrote this down as a something I wanted to talk about after reading the book. What attitudes and actions are being rewarded by the organization?
Right.
I think that's huge. In addressing culture, right? Because if the leader that stands up for his guy and says, no, he's my guy, and this is what we're going to do. It's not illegal, unethical, immoral, but it's taking a stand, and that leader gets chopped off at the knees.
What message did you just say?
The next leader who's faced with a similar
Will
decision,
not do the right thing.
he's going to look and go, I saw what they did to John.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, bud, you're on your own. You know how this command is. And
Yeah.
so that's by default, that's what starts shaping culture.
It does. Absolutely. So I think a lot of problems that we have in the lot of organizations today is the cover your butt mentality, because we've chopped people off at the knees for doing the right thing, even though it wasn't popular.
Right.
We now have gotten to the point where senior leaders say, well, I want my next promotion. I want to move up in this organization. So I'm just going to do what they want me to do. And, I retired a lieutenant colonel, and part of the reason I retired a lieutenant colonel is because I didn't play that
Right.
game.
You were the thorn in somebody's paw.
I stood up and said, that's not right. And this is the right thing to do. And I'm going to do the right thing, no matter what you decide to do to me. And I retired a lieutenant colonel because of that. No doubt about it.
Right.
But you know what? When I'm shaving every morning, I can look myself in the mirror and I know I did what was right.
100%. And, unfortunately, I think so. I know a lot of people in leadership positions, and the best of the best, they don't give a fuck. They don't listen. You have nothing on me.
Absolutely.
And that is empowering. Like the guy, and it's almost like an organization that's not interested in growing and progressing and being the best. They put people in place that they can control.
That's right. Nobody's going to control me. I'm going to do what's right. When I ran my ROTC program, I still believe, and I always have believed, that my job was to take care of the cadets or the people, whoever I'm leading. My job is to take care of them. And my philosophy was the rule book should never, ever let you not take care of somebody who needs to be taken care of.
Right.
And I wanted to do something that needed to be done. It was the right thing to do. And I went and told my human resource administrator, my HRA, I said, we're going to do this. And she said, we can't do that. That's against the rules. And I said, listen to me. I don't care what the rules say. This is the right thing to do. And we're going to do it. If you don't want to do it, go find another job. I said, I'll give you a memo that says I made you do it. I said, that's fine. I'll take it's on me.
My call.
I said, so it doesn't fall on you. I'll give you a memo. You can keep it for the rest of your life. I don't care. But this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And we did it. And it was the right thing to do. Yeah. And nobody ever said anything.
Yeah. It's amazing. If you push back a little bit, it's amazing because there's so many weak leaders out there. If you're committed to what you want to do and it's the right thing to do, go ahead and tell me that I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
You sign your name to that document, and that's usually enough to get them back on their heels where you can have your win for that moment. I think that's part of bringing this culture back. Is I'm reading a book right now, Oak. I think you would love it. It's called The Courageous Police Leader.
Oh,
it's by Travis Yates.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen it. I haven't read it.
I'm already 30, 40 pages into it. I started it last night. It's about, we've got to rewrite the script, because right now, with politics being heavily ingrained, local politics being heavily ingrained in the decision of leaders, there's no autonomy. We don't make informed, smart decisions. We make
Yeah.
emotional decisions. Poor leaders make emotional decisions. And that has gotten us to this place of chaos that we're in right now. And so I think that just by rewarding and promoting decisions that are made for all the right reasons, I think eventually that tide's going to turn. I mean, hopefully that's
I'm
not
hoping
my
it is.
my being naive, but
I'm hoping it is. I got a 2-year-old grandson, a 5-year-old grandson, and a 9-year-old granddaughter. I'm hoping it turns, because if it doesn't, we're in trouble.
yeah, no, honestly, I've every now and then you see I'm going to say young person, and I can't believe I just said young person, because that means I'm not a young person. I'm an old person. But every now and then you see somebody, in their 20s, call them or a teen, that is wants to serve, or they're pushing the shopping cart at Publix back into the bin, or they're stopping their car at the light and helping the old man push his car into the breakdown lane.
Yeah.
You're going, okay, wait a minute.
There is hope.
There is, maybe that silent majority needs to be a little more vocal.
Oh,
Maybe
that
we,
that that is absolutely true.
right?
And
Maybe
and I
we,
tell people that all the time.
yeah,
I said, look, if you're waiting for somebody else to do the right thing,
yeah,
good luck. You need to get out there and do it, and be that example. And if you do it, somebody else is going to notice it. And it goes back to that paying it forward thing,
yeah,
that for a couple of years ago was huge on the social media.
sure,
And it's true. If you're doing things right, again, be that person that everybody else should want to be like, then you're not going to change everybody. Let's not be naive. There's people out there you're never going to change. But
right.
you could change a number of people, and the more people you change, influence, to do the right thing, the more people that they're going to be able to do that. And and I had one person tell me when they saw my book, they said, "Well, how egotistical are you that you write a book about your legacy?" I said, "You obviously haven't read
Man,
my."
you didn't read the book.
I said, "You obviously haven't read my book,
You
or you
didn't read the
haven't heard
book.
me talk, because it isn't about me.
No.
It's about the people I train and develop to be the next generation, and the people they train to be the next generation. That's what your legacy is, not what you did."
Oh goodness. Yeah. It's right. Way to go. You really missed the point of everything I've been trying to do here. Oh my God. Hey, in chapter 10, I want to be respectful of your time, Oak. In chapter 10, you got a Harry Truman quote, and I think this might not be a bad way. He says, "Men make history and not the other way around. In
Absolutely.
periods where there is no leadership, society stands still. Progress occurs when courageous, skillful leaders seize the opportunity to change things for the better."
Yeah, I believe that 100%.
And I think that's what this book is about. It's about empowering courageous leaders, to keep fighting the good fight. We're gonna take our lumps and bumps, but at the end of the day, there's something, we do it for something bigger than us.
Absolutely. You do it to make a difference. You're going to make a difference in people's lives. If you're a leader, you're going to make a difference in people's lives. Why not make a good difference? It's your choice.
Yes.
You can either make a good difference or a bad difference. So you got to make the choice to make a good difference. And if enough people do that, you change history. You do the right things, and things, unlike the chaos that's in this country right now, you can fix those things. But it takes courageous people to stand up and say, that's not right. This is the way it needs to be, and I'm going to set the example. No matter what happens, I'm going to set the example.
And be okay with it.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, your legacy, your leadership legacy, becoming the leader you were meant to be, by Lieutenant Colonel Oakland McCulloch. Sir, it has been an absolute honor and a privilege sitting down with you today. Because we're not too far in distance, I am going to take you up on a lunch, and
Absolutely. I'd love
we
to.
will continue this conversation. But thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. And thank you for writing such an awesome book.
Well, thank you for having me on the show, John. I'll tell you, it is my passion to get out there and talk about this as much as possible. And you know, great people like you give me a chance to come on your show and talk about it. And I really do appreciate it.
Oak, if somebody wants to book you for an event, how do we get in touch with you? I'm going to put the information on the show notes, but in case they don't make it to the show notes, how can we find you?
Yeah, so I have a website, ltcoakmcculloch.com, and on there it's got my email address, it's got my phone number. If you want me to come talk to at your event, give me a call, send me an email, happy to do it. And I'm on all other social media. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all those things. And those are all on my website as well. So however you want to reach out to me, and even if you don't want to book me to come speak, if you just want to talk to me, I'm happy to do that. I was just talking to a guy in England yesterday and a person in Israel the day before that. And so, I mean, I'm happy to talk to whoever, because I want to make a difference. And
Absolutely.
If I can make a difference in your life, I'm happy to do that.
And for my Norwich brothers and sisters, you're going up to Norwich
In April.
In April, you're going to be speaking one of 3 speakers. Real quick, tell us about that, because I have a lot of Norwich folks that listen to the podcast.
So I'm going to be up in Norwich for the first ever, which kind of shocked me that this is the first ever leadership conference at Norwich, because what a great university, and produce some great officers and not only officers, but leaders for this country. But this is their first leadership conference, the inaugural one, and I got selected to be one of 3 keynote speakers to come talk.
Love it. Good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Colonel Oak McCulloch. Sir, thanks again.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it.